Man, bad news sucks. It sucks when you get it from your girlfriend turning them into your ex-girlfriend. You hate it when you get it from your parents. But man, does it really hurt when you get it from your football team. The Seattle Seahawks just have a bunch of really bad news going on right now. And we're going to have to dive into the different news situations that continue to go against the Seattle Seahawks. But before we do that, it is Veterans Day today. And I want to make sure that I show my appreciation to those who serve. We would not be here today without our servicemen and women, and I just want to take a moment during today's video to make sure that they get the appreciation that they deserve, especially someone who's very near and dear to my heart. You can see my grandpa Gary Ortner up there back in his days in the Marines. He was a devil dog, served over in Vietnam, and then here's a picture of him with some of his fellow service members. And so from the bottom of my heart, I just want to make sure that I give a special thank you to our servicemen and women. We would not be here without you guys. We are the land of the free because of the brave like you guys. And like I said, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And a special, special thank you to Grandpa Gary. I appreciate everything that you've done for me and you've done for this country. Now, the first piece of bad news for your Seattle Seahawks is that Brian Daboll got fired by the New York Giants. And I know you might be thinking to yourself, Will, other than your fellow bald brother being fired, what does this have to do with the Seattle Seahawks? Well, unfortunately, someone does have to get the job to replace Brian Daboll, and here are the highest betting odds so far on the top 5 candidates for that position. And while you might look at the top and go, hey, there's nothing to worry about there for your Seattle Seahawks. Lane Kiffin, he's got nothing to do with the Seahawks. Kliff Kingsbury, he really has nothing to do with the Seahawks after he got his butt kicked in Washington. But over there at number 4 is your offensive coordinator, Klint Kubiak. Now, he's plus 800. That doesn't mean that he has great odds. It just means that he's in the top 5% there. Don't be shocked either, though, if the Giants go elsewhere. I've been hearing from our Giants Now host, Marshall Green, that Kubiak might not be their number 1 target, but this is going to be a future problem for the Seahawks, not just with the New York Giants, but for all the other head coaching openings that happen in the NFL and some of the primetime college football openings, because Klint Kubiak, he's been a pretty darn good coordinator for your Seattle Seahawks this season, and with how well they've been playing, I'm not shocked that he's going to get the call, or if he will get the call. And this is coming to us from USA Today. Nick Brinkerhoff on why Klint Kubiak is one of the top coordinators in this head coaching cycle. If they want to go coordinator, Kubiak should be the first call. This coaching cycle isn't loaded with Ben Johnson types, a.k.a. sure ballot number 1 guys are going to get a job unless they want to say no. But Kubiak has been putting on a clinic with the Seahawks. Brinkerhoff is right, man. With the performance that the Seahawks offense has been putting on this season, of course teams are going to call Klint Kubiak. You've made Sam Darnold into a potential MVP type of candidate. Jackson Smith-Njigba is on pace right now to break the single-season record for receiving yards. And I've been hyping up the running game. I think they're getting that figured out as well. In your last 3 games, you've been a top 10 rushing attack. So, of course, teams are going to call Klint Kubiak, but I want to make sure that you keep him here in Seattle. Here are some other reasons that Brinkerhoff expanded upon on why Kubiak would get a call. Sam Darnold's breakout proved to be no fluke. While Jackson Smith-Njigba established himself as one of the league's best receivers, the son of a longtime NFL coach Gary Kubiak, the Seahawks coordinator, will likely land their head coach gig sooner rather than later. Now, I do want to make sure that we know this. This is a good problem to have. You want to have teams calling about your coordinators because that means you are winning games. Think about the Legion of Boom era. Every single year, someone was calling about the different DCs that you had in Seattle. Unfortunately for Darrell Bevell, no one was calling about the offensive coordinator. But I do want to make sure that I make this clear. This is just the beginning. If you're worried like myself about Klint Kubiak being nabbed by another team, it's only begun because more and more coaches are going to get fired. What's going to happen over in Miami? Tennessee is already going to be looking for a new head coach. Arizona may be looking for a new head coach. The list goes on and on and on. And that's just looking at the NFL, not even getting into the college football landscape where, I don't know if you know this, there's some pretty good head coaching openings. Florida, potentially Florida State. I mean, shoot, Penn State's a great position that a coach may or may want. LSU as well is a potential spot that a coach may or may not want. So teams are going to call. I hope that Seattle and John Schneider and the rest of that front office decide to throw a bag at Kubiak. Do whatever you can to keep him here because he's been a major key to your success. Should I be worried about Kubiak later? I saw in the comment section yesterday, I fired off a short where I said, hey, I'm a little bit worried about Kubiak getting nabbed up. And the first comment on top was, worry about Kubiak getting nabbed later. Worry about the Seahawks going on a playoff run now. So maybe I'm worried about it too soon. Let me know down in the comments. Am I on this too early? Yes. Should I worry about it later? No. Down below in the comments. All right, we got some bad injury news, and honestly, we got a double dose of it. We're going to start with your center and offensive lineman, Jalen Sundell. Head coach Mike Macdonald had a press conference yesterday, his typical Monday press conference, where he gave and elaborated a little bit on where Jalen Sundell was at when it comes to his recovery. Now, it looks like Sundell is going to be out for multiple weeks. This coming to us from Michael Sean Duggar, great writer for The Athletic on the Seattle Seahawks. There is an injury reserve consideration. Don't be shocked if you don't hear about Jalen Sundell going onto the injured reserve list until a little bit later on in the week. Mike Macdonald really likes to hold on and wait till the last moment. It does look like, though, that this is not a season-ending injury for you. So here was your Seahawks offensive line beforehand. Sundell obviously at that center spot. Oluwatimi is your backup center. He's going to go into that starting role at that center position, and everything else will largely stay the same. Now, the question is going to be, can this offensive line continue to show improvements? We saw early on, just look at week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers, this offense couldn't get anything going, not just in the run game, but throughout the entirety of your passing game as well. And every single week, you've gotten better and better and better. I got to take about if they can get even better with Oluwatimi, or at least stay pat on their current progression. But before I do that, I got to let you know about this sweet deal over at chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt. Emerald City Football. We've got a long season left to go for the Seahawks. This is a sweet t-shirt. Your friends would want to have it. If you have it, you are the envy of everybody. Originally $35, now $17. Chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt. You do not want to miss out on this sweet t-shirt. Shoot, I want one. Chatsports.com/Seahawks shirt. So over the last 3 games, your rushing attack has averaged 134.7 yards per game. That is good enough for 10th in the NFL and is a drastic jump up from where your season average has been, where the Seahawks were before Monday Night Football, right around that 17, 18, 19 mark, so slightly below average. That improvement in the run game has largely been because Jalen Sundell and Anthony Bradford have played better in the middle and to the right side, which has allowed Seattle to run the football both ways. Now, I don't think Oluwatimi is that much of a downgrade. In fact, I think there's an argument to be made that it is a lateral move for your Seahawks. He's going to be stronger than Sundell, but he's not going to get to some of the blocks that Sundell might get when it comes to getting reaches or when it comes to him getting up to linebackers. If Oluwatimi can step in and the Seahawks offensive line not miss a beat, keep that chemistry where it needs to be, watch out. You might see this offense continue to roll forward. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that Oluwatimi can, at minimum, keep this offensive line rolling the way that they have. The other bad injury news, Jarran Reed. I think everyone, including myself, was shocked on Friday to learn that not only was Jarran Reed a person who had been a full participant in practice out for the game against the Cardinals, but he was also going to go on IR. So he's going to miss at least 3 more games, and Reed had a second surgery on his wrist. Now, some of you might be going, a second wrist surgery? When was the first? It was actually during the bye week. He's been dealing with this wrist injury off and on throughout most of the year. Now, Mike Macdonald did have this to say on Reed's timeline. It's going to be multiple weeks. I think we've just got to get a sense of how strong it is and how well it heals. Right now, the goal is to get him back. I fully expect the Seahawks to get Jarran Reed back this season because I fully expect your Seattle Seahawks to be playing late into January. Now, the question is going to be how quickly can you get Jarran Reed back? And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that he comes back ASAP. Don't get me wrong, this defense is solid. You've got stars all over the place, especially on that defensive line, but you don't have a true blue defensive tackle to replace Jarran Reed, at least not with the production that he has. Peely can do a good job if you want to bounce him out and go full heavy. Byron Murphy, the second as well, you could easily bounce him out to that D tackle. That is supposed to be more of a natural position for him. Mike Morris has done a halfway decent job when he's come in. Obviously, you could bounce Leonard Williams over to that D tackle and go really small on the edges as well. So there's plenty of replacements there for Jarran Reed, but this defense is going to be at its strongest when you have Reed, Murphy, and Williams all humming together. Look, it sucks that your Seahawks got a bunch of bad news like this, but you still need to make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Why? Because I tell you the truth. However bad or good the news is, and I'm going to be one of the first people to get it out. And the best part is all this content is free over here on Seahawks Today. So make sure that you're subscribed. I can't wait to see you guys next time.